lost track. We actually should go back to the Mishnah for a moment, but let me just get my bearings here. Yeah, we go back to the Mishnah. Look at the line that says Hashochet part of a Chilka B'Rosh Hashanah. Do you see that? We had this yesterday in the Gemara already. Hashochet is part of a Chilka B'Rosh Hashanah. A butcher shechted a cow and distributed it on Rosh Hashanah. It turned out that it wasn't Rosh Hashanah, right? They psyched him out and they made Rosh Hashanah the next day. They made a Chodesh Me'ubar if the month was a leap month, and they made Rosh Hashanah the next day. Mishamit. Then the customers owe him for having gotten cuts of meat is canceled by Shemitah, being lav, and if not, if it was remade Rosh Hashanah, then of course they know Mishamit. Then of course the loans are owed because they're ready after the nullification period. Okay, going to the Gemara. There's a couple lines to the top. Rav Omar, I think you have Rebbe in there. Yeah, I have Rav Omar, but Rav Omar Nisan Lonis Aber Miyomav. Nisan was never made into a leap month. Nisan never has 30 days. But Nina, didn't we learn in Ba Chodesh Bizman of Chulei? It says there. Well, actually, Nisan. I'm sorry, it's not Nisan. I made him say Adar never has 30 days. Adar never has. I think Nisan always has 30 days. If I recall correctly, Chodesh here is the 2 day Rosh Chodesh. But Adar has. To check you have this out here. Yeah, here is always the 2 day Rosh Chodesh. But Adar never has 30 days, and therefore Nisan is never pushed off by there. That's the meaning here. Vatina, and ask how could this be? How we have a Mishnah in Shkolim, which discusses how to bring the new Ketores and Karbanos from the new fiscal year. As you know, every Rosh Chodesh Nisan they would start a new fiscal year in the Beis Hamikdash, right? So discussed there in a Mishnah in Ba Chodesh Bizmano. If the month comes at its right time, then you do one way, and if not, if it comes later, they do another way. So we see that sometimes Adar can be made into a leap month, right? Because it discusses when Rosh Chodesh comes. It says more Im Ba Hu Ditzninan. Yes, we have a Mishnah which talks about the hypothetical possibility of Nisan coming a day later. But in actuality, Velo Ba never actually happened. But it's hypothetical. Of course, when you're Makadosh Al Pi Re'iyah, it's possible that it'll come a day later. But Lamaisa, it never happens. Amar Rav, similarly, Amar Rav said, to Tishrei Lunis Haber Miyam of Tishrei was never leap month. Ask Marek, is that true? What about our Mishnah? It says in Chodesh Me'ubar if they made Elul an extra day and Tishrei came out a day later. It says more same thing here. Imayahu Ditzninan. If it happens, our Mishnah is discussing. Below Hayat, but Lamaisa, such a thing never happened in the course of history.
The calendar was already set in the time of the Gemara?
The time of the Gemara was, yeah. Well, it wasn't set really. It wasn't set until the end of the Talmud Yerushalmi era. But it was more or less already, they knew they were relying more on their calculations than on the Eidim by this time.
So then there shouldn't have been any Sfigat Yom anymore, or the second day Yom if they more or less knew.
Likely, by this time already, it was already a takana of the Rabbanan to do it. That's what I assume.
But it wasn't real something.
Right. Tanya, we learned Shakidrus Ashara Ba'usha, where they're Makadesh. Now, this is another kasha along these lines. It seems to indicate that there's sometimes Tishrei Elul does come out to be a leap month. Tanya Shakidrus Ashara Ba'usha, where they made Rosh Hashanah in Usha, which was where the Sanhedrin went after Yavne was destroyed, or after they left Yavne. But Yom Rishon, on the first day, Yorad Rabbi Shmuel Benosh Rabbi Yochanan Broka, Shmuel so Rabbi Yochanan Broka went down. V'amar Kedir Rabbi Yochanan Nuri, and he said like Rabbi Yochanan Nuri, which is that he put the bracha of the Psukim of Malchus in together with Ata Kadosh. That's Rabbi Yochanan Nuri's shita in Masechta Rosh Hashanah. Amar Shir Gamliel said, was the Nasi, said Lo Yinu Nogim came B'Yavne. We did not conduct ourselves that way in Yavne. B'Yom HaSheni, in other words, in this, you have Cain. Are you not further down?
No, it says what it says.
It says Cain.
Rav Shimon Gamliel says Lo Hayunogin. Lo Hayunogin Cain.
No, yeah, Lo Yinu Nogim Cain B'Yavne. Okay. Oh, he's here. Okay, B'Yom HaSheni, the next day, your Rabbi Chanina B'Nosh Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rabbi Chanina Rabbi Yosef Glili went down, V'Amar K'div Rabbi Akiva, he did like Rabbi Akiva, which means he said that the Psukim of Malchus in Atov V'Chartonu, as we do it today. V'Amar Rishon Gamliel, Rishon Gamliel said, Kachi Yinu Nogim B'Yavne. That was where they used to do in Yavne. V'Tanya, and we learned to this price concerning this episode. Ki Chua Barishon of Asheni. That in that case they were Mekadesh both days. Now both days means that there must be retroactively. First day was a mistake, and the second day was the bona fide day of Rosh Hashanah. So there we see a case where they made Rosh Hashanah 2 days because Elul turned out to be a leap month. Says Rabbi Zira B'Shem Rav says you're right, but also Shah Niskalkula. That day they made a mistake. That year they made a mistake in the cheshbon. It happened then, but generally it doesn't split. It doesn't happen. That Ma'u B'Rishon Ma'u B'Sheni. Now the Gemara gives now another answer. Gemara says no. What does it mean? The first day and the second day? It doesn't mean in the same year. Rather, Rabbi Ba said Shana Rishona V'Shona Shniya. That the first year it happened one way. That whoever davened one way, and the second year when they came to Usha, whoever davened the other way. So it's not 2 days in the same year, but rather 2 separate years. So Gemara of Atani Yom Rishon B'Yom HaSheni, doesn't it say the first day and the second day, not the first year and the second year? And the Gemara does not respond to that question. Okay? Says Gemara further. Tani, we learned. Kichua B'Laila, if they were Kaddish Rosh Chodesh at night. What? That's the next thing I have. So, this is a quote from the Torah's Kohanim. So the first, the first 2 words are in the Torah's Kohanim. That's where it's quoted here in the Kavanaki. But Kodem Lizmano, regardless, the next word you'll agree on. You makadosh it prior to its time, or a day too late. In other words, after the proper maximum time. Yochi and Mekudash. Is it Rosh Chodesh? Is the Rosh Chodesh Mekudash in that case? No, you don't have that much leeway to do it a day earlier, a day late. Tamulomar Elei Moadai. These are my holidays. Vein Elu Moadai, meaning there's a limitation. Not any ones you want. These and not those. And we take that to mean that you only have limited flexibility, not complete flexibility in making Rosh Chodesh. Kodem Zmana, what's too early? As on the before the 29th day. Lachibura, when is that? Shloshim Mishtayim on the 32nd day. Now I don't understand what that means exactly. I'm not sure exactly. It means because on the 31st day already. They're sort of too late. So I don't know. I was looking around to see an alternate girsa, but I couldn't find any. So I'm not sure how it come out to be 32. It really should be 31. The 31st day is too late. I don't know. Say more further. Tanya, B'nayim Shamabrim Mitzvah Goluya Shiyotzim Koman V'dayin Lo Yigiu. How do we know that you can be ma'abir as a shana? In other words, you can add an entire month for people, for the exiles who have left there the Bavel and not yet reached Yerushalayim. So Talmud Lomar, because it says B'nei Yisrael Moadai, for the Jews make my Yomim Tovim. I say Moados make the Yomim Tovim Shiasu Son Koyso in a manner which will enable all Jews to come. Rosh Nachman said, Ve'hein sheikil in Nahar Paras. The only time you make a leap year is if they haven't reached. Although it says Ve'hein sheikil, what it means is if they haven't yet reached the Euphrates River by the end of Adar, so you tack on another month. But if they're ready at the Euphrates River, they'll make it on time for Pesach.
So always you have like ongoing reports to Bezdin as to the status.
Right, this is the status the only regular, how quickly they were coming. Yes. These guys would take off a lot of time each year. I mean, if they made either a leap month, then they have to take off an extra month in order to get to Yerushalayim.
The main reason for the leap month is because of the seasons, because Pesach will come out.
This is another reason.
It seems like it's the main reason.
Well, it's not Masechta Rosh Hashanah, but this is an additional reason. Yeah, this is one of the reasons, which is the Rosh Hashanah will bring down, I'm sure, the primary reason. This is the secondary one. Okay, Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, Rabbi Yamish and Rabbi Yehuda ben Pazi, both said, let's say they were Mkadosh Rosh Chodesh, and afterwards they found that the Eidim were liars, right? They were Eidim Zoymim. The month is sanctified nonetheless. Kam Rabbi Yas and Rabbi Yehuda ben Pazi. So Rabbi Yasa rose to discuss this matter with Rabbi Yehuda ben Pazi. Barmalei, he said to him, Achmat min avuch hada milsa. Did you hear from your father this thing? Amarlei. So he said, Kate, I actually heard this. This is a tradition which I have. Rabbi Abba also, B'shei Amar B'shem B'yelchan, Ein medaktim B'edei Chodesh. What doesn't have to be meticulous about the witnesses for the new moon, as long as they came and they said something, we can accept them, we give them credibility, even though later on they turn out to be Eidim Zomer.
Right. We don't go through Drish and Chakira?
We do. But if later on it turns out that they were Eidim Zomer, it's still... Right, we don't care. Okay. Now, if it was a leap, well, we spoke about in our Mishnah, right, about the cow and the mistake. Ask Gemara, why does Shemitah apply to this cow anyway? This is an extension of credit. So Rabbi Eliezer to Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Eliezer said it's really even going like Rabbi Yehuda. And it's an extension of credit. No. Here we have the principle which we expressed last night, a variation on that theme, which is that sometimes a person feels that really he should be paying back the credit. And here, why does he feel that way? Because it's Rosh Hashanah. And a person feels very guilty that they're taking meat on Rosh Hashanah without paying for it. So therefore, in this case, he feels that he should be paying. Since he feels like he should be paying, as if it's been claimed. Since it's as if it's been claimed, so therefore receives the status of a loan. Since he's trusting him, right? Kamisha Roy Latoivo. It's as if he's being demanded. In other words, because the fellow feels compelled to pay back since there's trust being placed in him. We came at Roy Latovo since it's suitable to be paid, but to claim Kamisha Roy Litelos. So therefore it's considered as if he's already at the time when he's liable to pay, and therefore since the time he's liable to pay, so therefore it's as if the loan already exists, and that's why Shemitah cancels it. Okay? Again, his feeling of remorse or guilt at having to take on Rosh Hashanah not to pay is enough to consider him to be as if he has been already claimed. It's a self-claim. Okay? Rabbi Abar Memo. Ramast of Rav Amram B'Shem Rav Amrin, they both said, Hamavas Chaver Amnashal Tova. If somebody loans his friend money on the condition, the borrower made the condition that he will not, that the lender will not claim his money. Shvi'is Misham Toso. Shvi'is nonetheless cancels that loan. V'atnina, and where do we see that? V'amar Mishnah. Well, actually, it's a question. It's a question that's true according to Rabbi Yehuda, not going to Chachamim. V'atnina Amal HaShochet is a part of the Chilka Rosh Hashanah Uchulei. V'amar Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehuda even related to Rosh Hashanah. It's going like Rabbi Yehuda. Right? It's only Rabbi Yehuda holds that self-claims or self-compelling feelings are enough to make it as if the loan was demanded. But Chachamim perhaps arguing this. Chachamim hold that in order for a loan to be due, it's got to be demanded. And since this guy didn't demand it, the bar lender didn't demand it, so maybe Shemitah doesn't cancel it. It's not a loan which is, so to speak, outstanding at the moment. So it says, Rabbi Baba Shem Rabbi Zira says, no, everybody agrees this. It's not just Chachamim. The only reason why Chachamim disagree in the case of the Mishnah is because they disagree with this principle. Because it came with Shiroi Lamino, Kamishu Roy Latovo. Right? that they were saying that Rabbi Yehuda was saying in our Mishnah, or rather Rabbi Lezer explained in our Mishnah, that since he feels guilty about not having paid, so it's as if he's claiming himself. When we came to the Commission nosin lomos, and as if he's paying him as well. So that feeling of guilt and self-compilation or self-compulsion, that Rabbi Huda holds of, Chachamim do not hold of. Vikan, however, here in our case where it's an outright loan, already it's not even an extension of credit. It's just that the borrower made the condition that it should be up to him when to pay back. So in that case, Vikan Ray Roy Litin Lo, it's already considered to be a collectible loan. I guess I'm not making myself clear enough. In the case of the cow in the Mishnah, so there was no demand yet. There may be a demand someday, but right now there was no demand that the loan be repaid. It looks like credit. Rabbi Yehuda says it's not really credit. Why it's not really credit? Because the guy himself feels compelled to pay. Rabbanan disagree with that concept. Nobody feels compelled to pay. It remains a credit transaction, not a loan. However, in the case of somebody who borrowed money and just imposed a condition that he cannot be claimed, only when he decides of his own volition to give back the money, will he go ahead and do so. In that case, what we're saying is that there really is a loan. The loan exists. It's just a question of the extent to which the claimant can enter a claim, but the loan is an extant loan, and therefore Shevi'is does cancel that. Still not clear?
Well, if there's no payment date set, then why isn't that just credit also?
That's not credit, because the original transaction was not of a sale, but of a loan. Okay, a credit transaction is predicated on
it's an open-ended
right.
loan.
It's an open loan, but it's a loan as opposed to a credit transaction, which is a sale.
I think it even sounds like a gift.
It is kind of a gift. I mean, obviously, if I can't claim it, it's kind of a gift.
Yeah, so if it's a gift, then there's
but it's a gift. It's just an open. It's not a bona fide gift. It's an open-ended loan. It took the form of a gift. Perhaps it'll never be collected, but the loan, technically speaking, stays on the books. That we're saying. Okay. Says the Gemara further. Rabbi Yossi Bar Bum Shem Rav says Hamavas Chavero. If somebody loans money to his friend, and the friend makes a condition that Shevi'is, or they both make a condition that Shevi'is should not cancel the debt, Shevi'is Mishatosa, the Shevi'is nonetheless cancels the debt. Because what principle are we evincing here? Forget about public policy. No. Masna Mashakosa B'Torah. He wants to cancel the concept of Shevi'is. You can't do that. You can't make a condition against explicit, charge from the Torah that you have to be Meshaveh Tavos, that you have to cancel loans during Shemitah. Now, it says more a very interesting thing. Well, Tzina, didn't we learn? Ben Nosnim Mikavad Shloshim Yom Ben Nosnim Mikavad Eser Shonim. Let's say Adim Zomim came, and they testified that Reuven owes Shimon a $10,000, which is payable in 30 days. And they were found to be Zomim, and it turns out that the loan was $10,000. And Reuven got a loan from Shimon. But instead of having to pay back in 30 days, when he has to pay back in 10 years. So they give the amount of money a person would pay in order not to have a debt due in 30 days, but rather to have a debt due in 10 years. Whatever that amount of money might equal. That's what the aims are to pay, because that's the loss they generated for this guy. Okay, they generated a loss equal in value to what a person would pay to keep money for 10 years opposed to 30 days. So the question is, below Shemitah, a loan for 10 years is worthless, because what's going to cancel in the middle? Shemitah. So it says Ma'am Rav Huna said he's Balgun Rav Nachman Bar Yaakov Sheshes how to address this issue. Chadamar B'Mil Amashka once said this story about a case where the loan was on collateral, and as we will see later on in the parak, Shemitah does not cancel loans which have collateral. The Charina Amar B'Kaisla Prusbul. What?
We discussed that idea.
We discussed it, right? Did we discuss the explicit? Yeah, we discussed. Yeah, okay, so that's one interpretation. Because the Puzit back is a principle anyway, and that's why the 10 years does not cancel the loan. Tana, we learned Shloshim Yom Lo Isei. 3, we learned in a brisa, a cryptic brisa. 30 days you don't have it. Ma'u Shloshim Yom Lo Isei, what does it mean 30 days you don't have it? Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Ha'ma'u v'chaver stam, somebody who loans money to his friend without specific date attached to it. Sheinu Hashayla Tova at Shloshim Yom. He's not allowed to demand the money back until 30 days elapse. Okay, he's got 30 days in which to repay. Stam Bil v'Shloshim Yom. But this is where the Yerushalmi is derived from. They even derived from a pasuk. All Rav Yehuda V'Amratam, Rav Yehuda came in and said a pasuk to teach us this. Karva Shnasa Sheva Shnasa Shmita. It says the 7th year draws nigh this year of Shemitah. Now this is Hexa's verbiage. Lo Ishnasa Sheva, Lo Ishnasa Shmita. We know it's the 7th year. It's Shemitah year. It's Shemitah year. It's the 7th year. Why you need both? Matomar Shnasa Sheva Shnasa Shmita. So says the Gemara, Shelo Tomar. Don't say the following. Kosh Shloshim Yom Eni Rashai L'Tovo. This is not fair. In other words, a person might make the following cheshbon, the lender might make the following cheshbon and never extend loans during Shemitah year. He might say, this is not a fair system. Kol shloshim yom ein rashai l'tovo. The first 30 days I can't demand my loan back. Lachar shloshim yom babash miksafim. After 30 days, Shemitah is already going to cancel the debt. V'lo yikvenu. And I'm never going to be able to collect on it. That's why therefore tzarich meimar, the Torah had to say karvash nasa shevash nasa shmita. We know the 7th year is coming. We know the Shemitah year is coming. Meaning, we know that for 30 days you won't be able to collect, and we know that then afterwards Shemitah will cancel. Nonetheless, if you're a good Jew, you'll extend the loan anyway. So it's telling a person, despite the fact that you have this 30-day problem compounded by the 7th year problem, give the loan anyway. Now, the 30-day problem is learned from the fact that it says shnas, and the minimum amount of a year is shloshim yom b'miktzar shana chashiv shana. So therefore, shnas or sheva is referring to the 30 days within the 7th year. Okay? Locate Amar Rabbi Abba Bar Memel says the Gemara, didn't Rabbi Abba Bar Memel say? Yeah, this is coming to explain the following. It's going to explain why, let's say the 30 days, let's say you loan the money Rosh Chodesh Elul, and the money comes only due earliest on Erev Rosh Hashanah. The Shemitah canceled that debt. So it does. Why? On Rav Amra Masim Shem Rav said, Hamalvas Chaver Amnashlu L'Tovo. Somebody who gives a loan to his friend with a condition, the friend makes a condition that he shouldn't ever be claimed. In other words, to pay in his own volition. Hashvi'is misham taso. Shvi'is cancels the debt. So here too, if a person is not allowed to collect during the first 30 days, Shemitah cancels the debt as well. It's just as like a case where, like we learned before, the lender, the borrower, makes a condition that the other guy can't claim. He gets the right to pay of his own volition. So too in this case, the principle is, although during the first 30 days the lender cannot come and claim the borrower, it's still a loan. The truth is, it goes further than this, what he's saying. Saying even if Shemitah occurs within the first 30 days of a loan, the loan is canceled. That's what he's saying, because it's not that it doesn't exist. A loan doesn't exist before that. It exists. It's a loan on the books. It's just that the lender cannot claim it back within the first 30 days. But the fact that it exists is enough to make it Shemitah, to make it canceled during Shemitah. Okay?
If it's due on the 30th of Elul,
yeah.
Then is it due on that day, including that day, or the following day?
Yeah. It's on that day. But the truth is, I could have drawn a scenario where it was due on the fifth day of Tishrei, and nonetheless Shemitah would cancel it, because even though it's within the 30 days, that's just like a favor, but it doesn't impinge on the Shemitah halacha applying to this case. What do you mean?
If it's 30 days, if Shemitah, Rosh Hashanah comes within the 30-day period.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. Right. Okay? Ashkech Tani, he found the Bryce that says, Yerushalmi Omer, Karva Shnatza Sheva Shnatza Shemitah, the 70 years going to the Shemitah year, Lo Yi Shnatza Sheva Lo Shnatza Shemitah, so exactly the same thing we found, slightly different drush in the pasuk. Lo Yi Shnatza Sheva Lo Yi Shnatza Shemitah is the same thing. Mata Mor Karva Shnatza Sheva, Shnatza Shemitah was the meat, so the 70 years coming, the Shemitah year is coming. Shlo Tomer, shouldn't say Kol Sheish Shonim, Sadei Lefonov, all 6 years a guy has in front of him his yard, his field, carve in front of his vineyard. And now after 6 years, he's going to come and claim that the loan is canceled, and I'm never going to be able to collect. In other words, it's really not referring to the 30 days at all. It's referring to, as you're saying, the potential lender say, look, other years of Shemitah, I have collateral, I have things to rely on. This guy's vineyards, this guy's fields, which eventually I'll be able to collect. Now during Shemitah, I can't collect anything from him. So I'm not going to lend him any money, because I have no security. So from Cain, therefore, Tzarech Meimar, that's where I say, Karva Shnatza Sheva Shnatza Shemitah, you shouldn't have those bad thoughts, and you should lend the money anyway. Okay, let's go back to the Mishnah. Hones v'amafata. You see that? Anybody see that? Right after where we were before the Mishnah.
Oh, I see. It's by the hay. Getting in the line.
Yeah.
Ha'ones, a rapist, v'amafata, a seducer. Amoti Shemer, somebody who says a bad thing about a Jewish girl. All these cases where he has to pay a fine as a result. Chol Ma'aseh Beis in any psak din. Ein Misham, the Shemitah doesn't cancel those obligations. Hamavel Hamashko Moser Shtos LeBeisin.
Why would you even think it's a knas? It's not a...
We'll speak about it more. Somebody has collateral on the loan, or you gave over all his documents to Basin, and Basin will now be his agent of collection. All those cases to Einam Rashamtiv.
I'm just curious. The language of this is almost almost like summarizing a category. What preceded it.
Yeah, I don't think the Mishnah meant that. You're right, it's written that way, but I don't think it meant it. Let's see the more. Hones Amfate, header you probably don't have again. You do have this one? I'm Ravidam Rabbi Meir. This is even going like Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir Omer ben Milvad Dover Toli. Rabbi Meir holds that once you take somebody to court, once you subpoena them to court and make a claim against them, so already that makes what they owe you a loan. But here, so we're talking about a case where Shemitah came before you actually went to kill court. And therefore, says our mayor, it's still only a knas and not a loan. So there are 3 stages, or I should say there's 2 stages and a machlokas on one. Prior to going to court, everybody agrees it's a knas. Once you're in court, Rameh holds it's no longer a knas, he holds it's a loan. Everybody else could hold it's a knas until actually the psak din is over. Until they paskin the shiloh. But then the thing is like this, when they paskin the shiloh, so then it becomes what we said in the Mishnah, Ma'aseh Beis. The Ma'aseh Beis is not Mishamet either. Okay, why is that? Because the Ma'aseh Beis is commanded Govui Dami. It's as if it's already collected. It's already collected, so therefore there's no Shemitah which applies to it. Shemitah applies to those things which lack collection. This is as if it's collected. Here it's designated by Basin.
Why is it considered a loan in that middle case? When it's before the psak din, when it's in court? Why is that a loan?
Because it's already taking the form of the obligation.
Yeah.
In other words, once you're, it's no longer a fine. It's going to court as claimable money. You can't claim a fine. Right? Fines are not. It's a paradox. Fines are not subject to claim. A claim means, I'm talking about litigant's claim. A fine is like punitive damages. So therefore, a fine really should not be considered to be a loan. It's clear. But once you bring him to court and you're demanding of him, that's what makes it a loan. Because it divorced itself somewhat from the original event, which set the Knas in motion, and now enters its own question as money under litigation.
Like it's coming to her.
Right. Right. Okay? V'chol ma'aseh beisin v'chulei. Eluk is reading in the story about actual written psak. Pshita da milsa. It's a matter of simple. Milva shinasis kafronis. If you have a loan, but the borrower denies that he owes you the money, ain't a mishametis. There's no shmita on it. Why? Because it's not a collectible loan. Deadbeat loans, shmita is not mishamet. So it sounds like if somebody's in bankruptcy, also shmita wouldn't be mishamet his loans, right? Because it's not. It's like nasis kafronis. Can't collect it.
It may never collect anyway.
Yeah, but even after Shemitah, you can't collect it. It isn't necessarily. Yeah. Kafrani shinasis milveh. What if before Shemitah, the guy who was denying the loan concedes it? So then nasis malveh shametes, and malveh, of course, is then he gets to keep it. So if you really want to mess up your litigant, so admit right before Shemitah that you owe the money, and then he's up the creek without a paddle. Okay, right. Yirmiyah boy, im lemidas din k. There's the status this way also in terms of choshen mishpat. Midas din here meaning choshen mishpat. What's the difference? Who cares? Lo trucha da. I'm not. It's not necessary for me to ask this question. El kafron shin nasis milve. Except that I want to know the following information: a loan which was originally written off was denied by the borrower, but then it became a bona fide loan. Can the borrower go and claim from Beinonis? Can the lender go and claim from Beinonis, or not from Beinonis? Now, Beinonis, average fields are what a lender gets. A person who's been damaged gets superior fields. So maybe you can say, since it was this fellow in the middle underwent the stage of Knas, so therefore he should be banned from superior field. The collection should dafka be on superior fields, not on average fields. So if we say that, no, it's likely that he goes back to his original status as being a borrower, and since he's a borrower, from borrowers you can only collect average fields, not superior fields. Okay? You give a loan on collateral. Even the collateral is a pin, right? That's enough to already take away the Shemitah problem. Time limit the price of that which is with you from your brother, you should do Shemitah. This excludes that which your brother is already holding on to as collateral. And therefore, if you're makdim all your property's collateral, then you don't have to get rid of it during Shemitah. You don't have to renounce it during Shemitah. The guy, the creditor doesn't have to renounce it during Shemitah. Okay?
Don't make this other statement. The remains of milk collect from Beinonis. Is that the halacha?
Yes. Ksuva is from Ziburis, Nizakin is from Edis, Ba'alchov is from Nizakin. Nizakin. Nizakin Sham Edis, that's the name of the parak. Okay, Ba'alchov gets Beinonis. Okay, V'amosar Shtrosa Beisim Chulei, you don't have that header, do you? You have Tani Vasher Yelchos Achicha?
Yeah.
We learned the Bryce of that which you have from your brother. In other words, where you're a creditor, Tashmid Yadecha, you have to do Shemitah and renounce the loan. But law Mosar Shtosa Beis, where you gave your documents over to Beis, now Beis is a collection agent, so then they're allowed to collect regardless. They don't have the mitzvah of Shemitah. We can't samchul Pruzah Shmina Torah. From here they assume that Pruzah is the Raisa, because Pruzah gives over all the people in the city's debts to the basin to collect. Says more Pruzbul Tvar Torah. What are you talking about? It's Pruzbul the rice from notes a Takon of Hillel. Says more Ksheitkin Hillel Beis Dino when Hillel and his base were Misakin Pruzbul. So what?
We don't have any of this.
You don't have any of this?
No.
Some Chuvas Tvar Torah. When Hillel made it Pruzbul, they drew a parallel to this case at Moser Shtoros of the basin. Gee, so what do you have next? The Mishnah?
Yeah.
Do Do you have it after the Mishnah? What do you have after the Mishnah?
The concept of the principle from Torah.
Right, so that's what he moved behind there. Saying there was Soymechlish Puzpush Min Torah from the case of Moser Shlosel based in. They're parallel cases. Okay, so that he moved it back from previously. From
Does it say the same thing?
Yeah. Okay, we want to get in Bo Basra. Pruzbul Eda Meshabit. A pruzbul, if there's a pruzbul, then the loan is not canceled. Zechel Min Advarim Shehiskin Hillel Azokin is one of the things that Shul the elder made. Shroshim Luami Lahavo says, when you saw that the nation refused to lend money to each other, and they transgressed which is said in Torah, be careful, unless you have improper thoughts about not lending money. So he saw people transgressing that, he's skinny little pruzbal, so he'll make the takanas pruzbal. Rabbi Chunan said, because he said Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, had a kasha for Rabbi Yaakov Baracha. Nicha command Amar Maisus Midivrei. I understand that Hill could make such a corner if Meiser Bisman is as the Rabbana. Now Meiser here is lap dafka, although later on it will be dafka. But rather, what is the Meiser euphemism for here? All the mitzvahs Satluyas Boretz. All the mitzvahs which have to do with the land of Israel. So in this after all, the Rabbanim Bisman is there, so Hill can come, he's a rabbi too. And he can cancel it, right? He can say we're going to make a pruzbul to overcut to circumvent the mitzvah the rabban of shmitas ksafim, right? So it says the Gemara, but Ram commando marriage my sister mitvar Torah, but according to people which holds that meiser bisman and all of the mitzvahs that is part of the Raisa, Hill maskil Torah. Hill is going to make a takana to art smart the Torah itself. I can do such a thing. Rabbi Yisrael said, I'll prove to you that they, I'll prove to you that Shemitah was not, Shemitah is the Raisa. V'chi should go with Yisrael and Bavel. When Am Yisrael went into Bavel, time of the first base on Mikdash, Klum nifturel min mitzvahs tatluyas baretz. All that they were exempted from is the mitzvahs to check it in on the condition on land. V'hash make sovim noy ben baretz ben chutzarts. And Shemitah's implies both in Eretz and chutzarts. So therefore it should be the Raisa, not the Rabbanan. Says Marachos Rabbi Yossi V'Omar. So Rabbi Yossi said no, I renege on that. I found the drush that teaches us such a thing as Shemitah the Rabbanan. V'zed v'ara Shemitah is the word of Shemitah. Shamot, relinquish the loans. V'shuash Shemitah noegas the Brisa says when Shemitah is the Raisa, Hash makes up in the relinquishing of loans is also. Noeg ben Chutzaretz ben Chutzaretz applies both in eternal Chutzaretz. Devar Teire Midoraisa. U'Shash Hashmit Noegas Divrei. When Shmita is only the Rabbanan. Hash makes Sovim Noeg ben Baretz ben Chutzaretz Midivreihem. Shmita Sovim is the Rabbanan. Time and Amrin. There's an opinion which holds over there. If you look about our Meiser to my Torah, point of opinion which holds Meiser. Here Meiser is Dafka. Even according to people who chose Meiser Bisman Hazeh, is it the right in Eretz Yisrael? Moedei b'shmitas ksafim. Concedes that by shmitas ksafim, it's for sure not the right. So rather shmitas reim is Rabbana. How so? The Tana we learned Zed v'ara shmita shamot. This is the word. This is the matter of shmita. Do shmita. Rebbe Omer shnei shmitim malo lulam. Why is it mentioned shamot twice? Achash l'shmita. One of them is for shmita. V'achas l'yovel. One of them for Yovel. One melchat to teach you. B'shuash Yovel noeg when the Yovel is applicable. Shmita noeg is v'atorah the Shmita d'oraisa. Pascha leYevles when the Yovel ceased. Shmita noeg is v'rein the Shmita is only the Rabbanan as well because the two are linked. And Amos I Pascha Yovelos when did Yovel start? Stop. Daniel we learned to chas and drobo to chayoshvel. You should proclaim. This is where Cheng Samin is going tomorrow. You should proclaim. This is where Cheng Samin is going tomorrow. Yeah. This pasuk. It's on the Libertyville. Okay? You got that, right? So, all its inhabitants. It didn't apply to the Americans when they made the belt. It's when all the inhabitants are upon the land. V'lo b'zman shegol mitochen. In other words, there's no yovel, there's no proclamation of liberty when there is no yovel, and there's no yovel when you don't have kodesh ve'oleh. Not only that. Let's say all Jews lived in Eretz Yisrael. Like nowadays, all Jews live in Eretz Yisrael. Enough. Because it's 600,000 according to one opinion is enough. So therefore enough Jews live in Eretz Yisrael, but still, if they were mixed up, Shevet Yehuda b'Shevet Binyamin, Shevet Binyamin Yehuda. Yochel Yunavlos Yovas Nogim, you think Yovel applies in that case? No. Tam Lomer Sheyo Shveh. The dwellers have to be in their proper places. If that's the case, Shalever Yarden 9. I don't know. They even have to be in the Ever Yarden in the east bank of the Jordan in their proper places. Talmud Lomar. That's why it says Lik Kol Yoshvel. The Yerushalmi teaches us that. Nim Tzeisa Omer. So you say based on this, Cave on Shegolu Shevet Reuven V'Chati Gad V'Chati Menashe. Once the three Shvatim in Ever Yarden were taken away by Sancheir of them, Butler Yovelus, Paul Yovelus will cancel it altogether. So right time the Bayis Rishon, the time of Bayis Rishon, after Reuven, Gad, and Chati Menashe were taken away by Sancheir, there already were no Yovelus anymore.
Bobby says the same thing.
Yep.
It does?
Well, no, because since it was another story, they would have been said, I mean,
You're right, doesn't mean anything, but I'm just saying.
Maybe not. Maybe I just remember from the Rambam.
I mean, we've discussed that.
Yeah.
Well, it's come up many times. Why don't we celebrate yoga?
Yeah, maybe it's not explicitly in the Bible.
And
Maybe
also
not.
this whole thing of Hillel, I was still under the impression that Hillel, Taka, was not dealing with Shemitah's Ksafim to Rabban, he was dealing with Shemitah's Ksafim to Rabban.
No, he's not. That's what the Gemara is making quite clear. Shemitah speaks Rabbanim with the word. There is a sheet of the Ran though. There's a Chuvas Arai which he says even Shemitah's the right that works because of Hefker based in Hefker.
Right,
Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
That's the key.
But the Yerushalmi is not saying that.
No, it's not.
Yerushalmi is saying Hey Momru v'Hey Momru.
I thought the Bavli says that it's Hefker.
It's a Rishon. I'm pretty sure it's the
Is
Ran.
that more Yavamas?
Could be. Yavamas, you try to remember Yavamas? How do you remember Yavamas?
My mazel's on two different yeshivas. They have to learn Yavamas from one to another.
Wow. No wonder you dislike both of them. Now I understand everything. Okay. Going back to the Mishnah. This is the primary text of the Prusbul. I give over to the Dayanim in so-and-so location. Any debt I have, I'm giving you those debts. With the condition that I will now be your agent. So I can collect them whenever I want. But Dayanim sign the bottom, or Adim, or the witnesses. Gemara is going to ask, what do you mean witnesses? There have to be three judges. Okay, let's go back to the Gemara. This is the primary Gemara. Prusbul, Rabbi Chizim Sheroyimir said, even if you're writing the Prusbul in Eretz Yisrael, and the debts are in Rome, it still works. Right? The Prusbul and debts don't have to be in the same location. That's relatively straightforward, right? Rabbi Shem, Rabbi Rabban and Taman, Rabbi Ba, the name of the rabbis in Bavel, said, Shlosha Shadar. The three people sat in judgment.
The whole discussion is exactly what it's not in the Gemara.
It doesn't say anything about Rome there?
What does it say? I feel in the Sunim Baromi.
Right, that's all it has to say.
Oh.
Even if the debts are somewhere else. Okay? Alright, Baruch Hashem Rabbanan Tamon. Shlosha Shadana, three people judged. The Meisach Hamem, one kicked the bucket. One of the 80. Dayanim. The Chos Min HaShnayim, so the two which are left can sign. Roman, they say, Aval Pisha Chatanu B'Shnayim, even though the only two of us signed. Dana B'Shlosha, we judged in three. Alright, V'Chaga said, must be so. Okay, and our Mishnah says that. Dayanim Chosin L'mato Eidim. Dayanim sign below or Eidim. The Meidim, so from this we see that it's called Eidim, only two of them left. They must be signing and saying that we had a third person with us. As more L'meidin Midas Lim Reprusable, do we learn the parameters of how to sign a star from Prusbul. Prusbul is different. Prusbul is not a classical Choshen Mishpar halacha. So that's more Ashkach Tani. Found the Brisa. Nonetheless, so then we can learn regular standards of Choshen Mishpar from Prusbul, and therefore we learn that any star which is based in has been a member of the base in which died, they should write it in that fashion. Okay? In order to make a Prusbul, so you have to have land. Because the land is what hypothetically is exchanging hands and transferring the ownership of the loan from the real owner to the basement. Welo karka. What if the lender has no land? The borrower does have land. So you write a Prusbul on that basis. What about the following case? What do you do this case? Reuven owes Shimon money. Levi chayav Reuven and Levi owes Reuven. So in this case, Reuven ain't lo karka. Reuven has no land. Levi eish lo karka. But Levi does have land. Kosvin l'Shimon on the Chosav Shel Levi. So here the principle of Shvuta, the Rav Nosson passes the land up the ladder, and therefore Shimon gets to use the land which Levi owes him in order to write a Prusbul. Okay? So somehow there has to be land, but it's not so germane where it comes from. It doesn't mention Rav Nosson's name. Kavanoki mentions Shibud Rav Nosson. Kavanoki mentions Shibud Rav Nosson. The more it's you're right, does not mention it.
Well, I'm just curious about because Rav Nosson must have been a
I don't know. He was a Tana. So I don't know why. Of us, Rabbi Nosson. He's a Tana, so I don't know why he's not mentioned. Okay, how much do we have left till the end of the Masechta?
Blood and a smidgen.
Blood and a smidgen. Okay. Prusbul, have to stop in a minute. Prusbul muktam, going back to the Mishnah. A Prusbul which is predated is. Oh, is it new Mishnah? Oh, right, it's new Mishnah. Sorry. Prusbul muktam kosher. Prusbul which is predated is okay, because the lender loses out as a result. Because any loan he extended after Prusbul is then not counted in the Prusbul. But therefore, if you posted the Prusbul, it's possible, because then the lender is trying to to trick us. He's trying to include even loans that should have not yet been contracted. Now, the exact opposite is true about normal documents. Predated normal documents are possible because, they impart to the borrower, to the lender, much more power over property, which should not be under lien to him. It stretches his lien backwards in time to whatever predated date the document was written on. But later documents.
Those presumably, even though the shibud is not mentioned on a particular piece of property, but since the guy may have acquired property at an earlier time,
right,
there's a shibud on that property, even though it's not so stated.
That's right. Okay. One guy borrowed money from 5 people. So each one of the lenders needs a Prusbul. 5 people borrowed from one lender, and the lender writes one Prusbul to encompass all of them. Now, it says more. Prusbul muktam kosher, a predated Prusbul is kosher, because it's to its disadvantage, because he loses all the loans that are in after the Prusbul. So if you write post-dates Prusbul, that's bad, because that puts him in an advantage. In nation Yava Kocho, he has the power to seize property corresponding to whatever he's owed from a much earlier date. So it says the Gemara, that's why Shesh Tarchov HaMuktam is possible, because it gives him more strength, because more property is under lien to him. And later, if it's posted, it's okay, because it's detrimental to the individual. It says more technical, but about this thing, Primo Dia, how do we know if a star is written early or late? Who's going to notify us of this? The star itself doesn't tell us when it was written, it just has a date in it. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Bo B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Eidov HaChatsuim B'Shtar. The witnesses who are signed on the star will come and tell us. Lo kerem Rabbi Shimon ben Loki, Shimon Rabbi Shimon ben Loki. Are you lost? Do you have the place? Oh, I forgot to tell you that. Sorry. Lo kerem Rabbi Shimon Loki, Shimon Rabbi Shimon Loki say also divrei eating do some basic. They made the Edom or sign the star as if they already were cross-examined in court. So therefore the Edom can't come later on and say, we wrote it too early or too late. Because it's like Kevach Shigit Shumin and Choser Magid. They already testified when they wrote the document. They can't testify again later on and try and undermine the document. So it's a kasha. How can they later come on and say that it was too late or too early, the document? Once they signed it, in essence, they testified to its kashrus. Later on, to renege is not permissible. Says the Gemara, Tamon, when can they renege when they deny that they signed themselves altogether? But here it's like a pesha asa pesha iter. They can say we signed it, but we signed it on these conditions. That they're allowed to say. They're not believed to say we didn't sign it off, but they're believed to say we signed it under certain conditions, and we said it was too early or too late. Okay?
Well, it also could be that they signed it and the date was put in after their signature. The date is not essential to a shtar chol.
Right, but then they would have to testify to that. That's completely illegal. Yeah. They would have to testify to that. All right, I think we better stop here for today. And tomorrow we'll finish the Masechta, we'll start the new Masechta.
That'll be 9.
Tomorrow night. So 10 minutes before 5 to 10.